Big news yesterday. I was shocked when I saw this on my phone. Honestly shocked. That Kayshon Boutte announced he would be back. And, there's so many reactions to it. I'll give you mine. My first reaction was, wow, I can't believe he's going to come do this again. I believe the reports that indicate that Kayshon gave some serious thoughts to transferring after last year. I believe that to be the case. He decided against that and decided to stay. I did not like his body language in the Superdome. I didn't think it was an indication that he was quitting on his team or that, that he didn't want to be there. I just thought he was frustrated. The quarterback was taking off and running a lot, and he was open at times, and then he had some drops, and that's frustrating too. I don't know Kayshon. I don't have inside sources over there that are feeding me information about exactly what Kayshon's saying and thinking and doing. But I didn't like his body language early. I didn't like the drops early. Those are two different issues. One's just not making plays. The other one is showing some frustration. But I thought he played hard the rest of the season. I thought he had some really nice plays on especially some third downs. The Bama game, I thought he played well. But I just assumed that he would be ready to start his professional career. He would be drafted. He would be a fairly high pick. He's got some really good tape. He's got some really good measurables, and I think someone would take him in a passing league pretty early. That's one. It surprised me he would be back. I just figured after what I believed last offseason and the type of player that he is, he would go. The other piece to this is I think it kind of it signals two things to me. One, in this era of NIL, this is going to happen a little bit. This is not like baseball where if you come back one more year, you lose all your leverage. They still pay seniors and juniors the same thing in the NFL draft. So you want to come back one more year, you can make a few bucks, and you think you can be a much higher draft pick? If Kayshon thinks he can play himself into the top 15 picks, if he was going to be the 51st overall pick in this draft? I mean, I'm just making that stuff up, but theoretically, that's a big deal. And it's not like you're flat broke anymore. So the air is a little bit different. And I do believe this, that it signals something positive about the culture in LSU's football building right now. I think that. Because he could go play anywhere he wanted. Anywhere. And for him to come back to LSU, I know he's from here. I know he's had some success here. I know he's a new father, and that matters too. Up and move and go to USC. I'm making that up. It's not just theoretically. You just have a newborn child, and you go to USC. That's tough. Staying home, that makes things easier. But I think there's something positive to that. And I think that it could, not that it will, but it could lend itself to other people making the decision to play at LSU, whether it's people that are there right now or it's people that are not with LSU that are in the transfer portal, that maybe LSU's most visible player said, hey, I want to do this again. I'm trying to get a ring. Let's go. Certainly can't hurt. I'm not willing to make massive leaps to say, he knows who the quarterback's going to be. He knows who the quarterback's not going to be. He got promised they're going to air it out next year. Maybe he does. Maybe they do. I'm not ready to make that leap. I'll make the leap to say NIL probably has a factor here, and I think there's probably some positive energy over in the football ops. I'm willing to make those leaps to say, there's your quarterback decision. I don't think so. That's not something I'm willing to do. It may have happened, but it is a big deal for LSU. And when and I think it's two outcomes here. One, I think LSU's wide receiver core next year is going to be exceptional. Two, I think some guys who are currently on the football team at LSU that play wide receiver won't be here next year. That takes a lot of targets off the board right there. 7 comes back, that takes a lot of targets off the board. I don't need to name any names, but you can go down the pecking order. You understand. But theoretically, a wide receiver room that featured Kayshon Boutte, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Jack Besh, Chris Hilton, that type of talent, you bring in a couple of top 100 players in this class at wide receiver, you should have a really, really good wide receiver room. And it should be featured from jump in Orlando next year. It should be the entire focus. No, that's too much. It should be a monster focus in spring football, in summer, and in fall camp. We're going to spread the field, and Kayshon, Neighbors, Thomas, Besh, Hilton, those guys are going to be a handful along with Mason Taylor. Whatever else comes in the transfer portal. That is going to be the backbone of your offense next year. I don't know who the running backs are going to be. John Emery didn't participate in spring senior day. Noah Cain could theoretically come back. You signed 2 running backs in this class. Armani Goodwin's coming off an injury. I don't know. In this era, it's foolish to think too much about it. But Kayshon said he's coming back, so I can talk about that. They ought to be a passing offense next year. And find the quarterback that can do it. That's what it looks like to me. Speaking of that showdown in Orlando, got a little bit dicier yesterday when a decision we certainly expected, but a decision did come. Jordan Travis will be back as the starting quarterback in Tallahassee next year. He will be a fourth-year starter. And we know that he gave LSU fits in the Superdome this past year, and he gave Florida fits 2 weeks ago. He's a really, really good college player. He's a redshirt junior. There really was not a ton of thought in my mind that he would go, but he made it official yesterday. He's going to come back, and that's a huge boon to Mike Norvell's program. That's their most visible player. That's the spearhead of their offense. They want to go out in the transfer portal and add pieces around him. That's a pretty nice selling point because he was excellent this year. So I was personally pretty bummed about it. The fact of the matter is there's still a lot of roster reshuffling to be done in Tallahassee and in Baton Rouge. LSU, first of all, LSU's not done losing guys to the transfer portal. There's been 2 that were medically induced that are in there. There will be more. There will not be an entire retention on this team. And there will probably be some that transfer that really bum you out. That's just the nature. But LSU's going to go and get some guys that will fire you up, and that's just the way it's going to be. But those 2 teams are probably going to start in the top 10. Probably. And so that's going to be a monster matchup when you come to Orlando with big-time names that people in college football know. People now know Jordan Travis based on his performances this year. People, of course, know Kayshon Boutte based on what he's done in 3 years at LSU. These are big-time announcements, and look, it was a damaging loss that LSU suffered to Florida State this year, and LSU's lost 3 straight season openers, which sucks. But it's going to be another huge one, and it'll probably ratchet up the juices around here in August when you realize what's coming around the pike with Florida State. So awesome news for LSU that Kayshon Boutte wants to come back. I think that puts to rest any sort of notion that he doesn't want to be here. He's unhappy. He's a team cancer. He's got 1 foot out the door. All that, he could go and get paid a lot, and he's going to stay. So now the question is, what best player on LSU's team is the entire fan base going to jump down their throat this year? Stingley, Boutte, who's awesome that everybody's got to get ticked at next year? A little bit of tongue-in-cheek there, but you get the point.